Naomi, welcome to our podcast Supernova. It's a great pleasure to have you here today.
It's a pleasure being here with you, Montse, and with everybody else.
Thank you, Naomi. And as is a tradition, I will start introducing yourself so the people that is listening can have a bit of context of who you are and what you do. And I would love to say that you are a DEIB advocate. For those who don't know what this stands for, it's Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging advocate. And you work at a Spanish university in the Careers Development Department, and you are a driving force in that university to create safe spaces and help people amplify their voice when they feel unrepresented on and off the university campus and also in the work floor. And as part of that, you've been creating different spaces such as elephant talks, also spaces where people can talk about how they develop their career, their leadership, especially for brown and black people. And I'll let you actually talk more about this because I would love to start this episode asking you what made you start your career and build your career towards diversity and inclusion.
Yeah, I thank you for having me again. It's always cool and it's always great to talk about this topic. It's something that I have very close to my heart, and I have always been involved in diversity, and I've always, especially the gender issue, that's where it started for me. I started to be very focused on female empowerment. It probably has much to do with my mom. She's a very strong Black woman, and she installed a great sense of empowerment, a great sense of independence in her three daughters. I'm one of them, the middle. And so for years in Barcelona, I have been part of the corporal expression company Les Dones de Blanc, where it's a part of the La Plataforma en contra de Violencia de Género. And with art expressions and workshop, we have been bringing awareness to communities and schools on gender violence. So I've always been involved in that passionate advocating against injustices. My focus shifted and I became very vocal about racial injustices when, especially for the Black community, with the murder of George Floyd in 2020. I noticed that little was being done in my environment, especially in the university I'm working at. So together with a few Black and brown students, that's where we started to move that particular part of the needle, because the needle is quite big. And I created, these initiatives that you indicated, the elephant talks, which are uncomfortable conversations where people can ask questions, but also people can tell their experiences, because I feel that it started with a need to express. It started with a need to talk about how this made everybody feel. And then we pivoted into talent bites, which is where we also felt, it came out of the elephant talk, the lack of role models. So this is sort of how I tried and continue to try to empower specifically underrepresented groups, and in my case specifically the Black community. And yeah, I'm planting a seed, and now at the university others need to take over, but I'm already thinking about other projects in the same field. So yeah, it's very passionate.
Yeah, well, thanks for sharing. This is very inspiring. And I want to think that slowly everyone is working towards this change. And I see it, and probably you also see it in your students, and some of them might have some leadership roles where they want to kind of be part of this movement. I also see it in my coaching clients, but I also see that sometimes some of them don't really know how to do it or how to talk about it. What is it like a good thing to say? What can they not say? So how would you, or what would you recommend to someone who wants to build a more inclusive space at the workplace or as a leader within their teams? What would be your recommendation to do that?
Yeah, well, first of all, amazing if leaders are actually willing to do this genuinely, because it will have a direct effect on their talent retention and satisfaction within their companies. So I think it's not only, what can I do to make someone else feel comfortable and, feel create that space of belonging. It is more than that. It makes productive people out of, in those spaces. What can they do? Well, important to take into consideration is it's a responsibility of all. So it's not just the underrepresented groups that you have in your company that should wear the hat. I have been through that. In my case, for example, I was the token Black girl, and in all honesty, I took the hat and I wore it because I noticed it someone had to start. So fantastic if in your company someone starts it that is part of an underrepresented group, but then this is where it becomes very important to support the projects that that particular person is doing, is the change that that particular person is installing is not their projects. They're not the DEI experts. They probably have a different job. That's the one they're getting paid for. So for me, it is important that, yes, they might start it, give them the opportunity to take a step back, take a step away, take over, and not take over in the sense from, okay, I'll do it because I can do it better. Assign budgets. Very important. Facilitate the change. Assign budget. Install education, and not just a quick, hit and run workshop on DIE. What is DIE and how do we do this within our company? No, like, let's go in depth. Change processes. It has to be part of the strategy. It cannot be just on the agenda as a silo. It has to be a transversal thing, and that makes it so complicated. So it is, first of all, fantastic that that are willing to do it. Start small, grow big.
Okay, so I understand it's also about professionalizing the inclusion and diversity, not only having someone working on it just because it's a trend or something like this. It's more about making it part of the whole organization.
Absolutely. Putting mechanisms in place, and those come with a cost. Be willing to see it as an investment, not as a cost. Be willing to see DEI as an investment, like you see marketing as an investment and sustainability.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And also you said something that caught my attention, and it's about this genuine interest. And you kind of emphasize in that word. Yeah, why the emphasis, just to clarify?
Yeah.
I think it's very important.
Well, yes, and indeed, and I indeed brushed a little bit over it, but you have something that's called performative action, and that is, we do it to make up. We pretend, not we pretend, but we do the bare minimum,
Yeah.
so we don't get canceled or we will be considered woke. I absolutely do not like these words, but these are the buzzwords and these are the trendy words, but it's not about trend. So what you said, like, don't have someone do it because it's a trend.
Yeah.
That is exactly what I mean. It has to be genuine. You have to really want to embed it in the company. It cannot be a patch. It cannot be performative. It has to be a genuine strategy.
Okay, and I understand that then once organizations start doing it, and it's a genuine interest, then we are also citizens of the world, right? But we also want to make the world an inclusive place, not only the workplace. So yeah, as humans, how can we be more inclusive to one another? What would be maybe, I don't know if you can share with us some comments or maybe behaviors that happened to you that you would have to receive them differently, so we can all learn from it and be better at being more inclusive.
Yeah, for me it sounds a bit harsh, but we need to get with the program. And what do I mean with that? I mean, white people will have to come to terms with the fact that due to colonialism, due to displacement, countries that they think are theirs really are not. Society has changed, country demographics have changed, forever changed. Due to colonialism, people come from, for example, I'm Dutch. My parents are from Suriname, it used to be a Dutch colony. You cannot be surprised that a lot of people from Suriname are going to go to the motherland. I mean, you cannot be surprised. So I grew up in that motherland. So for me, I'm dual. I feel Dutch. I am from Suriname, and I grew up in the Caribbean because, you know, my mom got divorced from my dad's, got married again, and then she got married with someone from Curacao. So my stepdad, fantastic man, but we went to Curacao, which is a completely different island, also an ex-colony. So there is this whole craziness of different cultures going on. And that is something that we need to see, that we need to start embracing that. And that we can only embrace it when we have this empathy. No, it costs so little, it means so much. I'll give you an example because you asked for a personal example. When people ask me like, oh, hey, where are you from? And I tell them the Netherlands, seriously, 9 out of 10 times they say, really? They don't say, no, no. We do have those. I had someone that we were discussing and that person said, no, you're from Africa. I'm like, okay, this is a conversation that we're not going to have. You're not my dad. You're not my mom. You have no idea where I'm from. But unless you and my mother know something I do not know, then yeah, really, I am from the Netherlands. I am Dutch. And it's very tiring to have to defend that because it has changed already so much in the Netherlands. So the typical Dutch person doesn't exist anymore. The same is going to happen here in Spain. We already have second, third, fourth generations Black people that are in Spain, that are Spanish, that are Catalan. They feel they speak Catalan better than my husband, who is Catalan, you know, from the roots up to his head. But they feel that they do not belong. We feel that we do not belong because of these assumptions, these questions. It's this underlying, you know, no, you're not. And I'm like, yes, I am, you know, or the fact that white people call me exotic, not a papaya. No, a fruit is exotic. I'm just different than you because you always have been the norm. That's why you think I'm exotic, but I'm not. I'm just different.
Yeah. Okay. So I understand that you take every of these opportunities to educate people, or what would be, and I don't know if that's the right word because I see you laughing, but how can we make, like, how can we beat this kind of biases and some pre-program ideas that we have in our brain? How can we change that?
Yeah. I love how you say you take every opportunity to educate. First of all, not every opportunity. Some people are just lost cases.
Okay.
It's a waste of energy. So no, not every opportunity. Also, not every setting is the right one to sort of counter. But I find that people can educate themselves nowadays. I'm not a big fan of Google it and you'll know, because there's a lot of things going on the internet, but there are a lot of writers who really investigate. There are a lot of people that write for you. There are a lot of educators, not only Black educators, also, you know, about the Asian cultures and the Asian struggle. Because, you know, in this specific episode, we're talking about racial injustices. So, but even if you go further, there's so much research that has been done, and also there's so much history that's being clarified, because also in our history, how I was taught my history lessons are very different than what my niece, my 15-year-old niece now is learning. It's much more transparent, and it's much more also having information about the other side of, for example, slavery.
Yeah.
So for me, it would be educate yourself, that first, and then second, language. It's so rich, it's so powerful. Especially the Spanish language is filled with phrases that I frown upon. I'll give you an example.
Okay.
For example, trabajar como un negro.
Yeah.
This is something that that is being said in Spain, and I know it's not meant as a racist remark, but now that we have so many Black people, can we change that? Can we say that you're working hard? Because in the end, that's what you want to say.
Yeah.
No, and in Latin America, the phrase doesn't even stop there. The official phrase is trabajar como un negro para vivir como un blanco. So work like a Black man to live like a white man. So language is something that we can all change. Yeah. All of us. Like, let's be more conscious about what we say, how we say it. Trabajo de chinos. why?
Yeah.
There's so much that we can change, like on a daily basis.
Yeah. So watching our language, educating ourselves, and also, I don't know what you think about this, but sometimes some people feel, oh, it's their movement, they should work on it themselves. So as a white person myself, for example, what could be my role in that in helping change or helping make this change towards being more inclusive, because I see there's some kind of movement that says that everyone should be like minding their own fight, if I can say
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah.
yeah, how can it be, how can I help, for example, in that case, myself?
The exact same way. It's first of all the language, start being conscious, but it's also what you're doing right now. You're using your platform to create awareness amongst your network. I mean, I can obviously not be 100% sure because we haven't double checked, but I'm quite sure that my network, the demographics of my network, my personal connections is quite different than for example, yours, or from someone who has absolutely no other friends than the white cohort that he or she has been, that they have been living in. So that is one thing. Have those uncomfortable conversations. For me, again, educate yourself. And I like what you said when you said like there is this tendency going on that people say like, okay, stay in your lane,
Yeah.
mind your own struggle, focus on your own struggle. I think all struggles are intertwined. It's not my struggle. It is a problem for everybody.
Yeah.
People cannot be just allies. They need to be active and involved allies. And it's the same for me. For example, what is happening now politically in Gaza, in Gaza. I can, okay, mind your own, but we shouldn't. We shouldn't, because we are all humans. We are all on this planet, and we are all trying to be as productive as we can on this particular planet. It's a system. We're connected. So we cannot be okay with not having these conversations. We cannot be okay with pretend it's not happening because it's so far. When I can see it, it doesn't exist. It does exist. It's like when people say like, I don't see color. Oh, please do see color. Because it's only when you see color is that you see the double standards, is that you see the injustices.
Yeah.
That is the only way. We are very clearly different, but let's embrace the differences and let's work together, because we don't have to be the same to collaborate and to cooperate. And I think that is the important part of it. That is why it's not just a Black problem or a brown problem or an Asian problem or a female problem.
Yeah.
Okay, so for me, that is the reason that yes, white people should also be very worried and very angry.
And very willing to have those elephant talks, right? Like those uncomfortable conversations. And now that I mentioned this back of these elephant talks, that is an initiative that you created. I guess you also felt some kind of resistance maybe at some point when introducing this concept, or how would you invite someone to have those uncomfortable talks? Because, yeah.
It's complicated. It's complicated because this is very in line with your previous question. I cannot do it by myself. So I had I have an amazing ally at the university, where we started these talks, who is a white academic professor, male. So amazing ally. And then you'll see that things change. And that is also why people that are not from the underrepresented group should take place, because movement is being created together. So when someone who looks like you, talks like you, speaks like you, says like, oh, this is probably wrong, this is wrong, you're very much more open to listening than when I say it. Someone who is already very different, like, oh no, you're different already, so what, your opinion obviously is also different. So for me, that is where it started. It started in finding those allies that become then involved and active.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a stain. It's like a ripple effect. So when you throw in a paddle in the water and it creates this ripple effect, that is what it is. And then you had people who saw that and who had questions, and then came, because you have a lot of people in the middle who just don't know what to do. And then when they have that opportunity, when they see a platform that they can have that conversation, or have, or ask a crazy question. I got asked crazy questions that if you ask me and I don't know you, I might probably be upset when you ask me that. But because the context was created that it was okay to ask, and I wasn't going to be upset because you genuinely wanted to know because you did not, that is a different setting that you create. Much more honesty, much more empathy.
Yeah. Wow. So it's all about creating those spaces where are safe to discuss these topics, to have comfortable, conversations, and take the chance to ask, okay, how do you feel if I ask you this? Like, which discuss about language, and being an ally, actively involved in this change. I'm just
Absolutely.
kind of trying to repeat what stuck with me out of what you're saying, just to make sure I'm reading it the right way, and inviting everyone to be part of this change, that it's everyone's responsibility towards a more inclusive and diverse world where everyone feel heard, included, and listened.
And
Yeah.
absolutely, and I do realize that if it's taken too far, then when people take over, that is the other part. That
Yeah.
is not what we need.
Okay.
We do not people tell me what they think I should be doing or tell me what I need. I know what I need. But I need a platform to be able to express myself. And that is something that a lot of white people have. They have these family dinner. Oh, Christmas is an amazing time.
Yeah.
Like politics, that is when you have these discussions and that people are disagreeing. Don't fight over it, just disagree. But have that conversation, because that is when the gray area here is starting to work. And even if you disagree, it's like, you start thinking about it. And that's what we want. We want that effect.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that effect. Actually, I'm just like a fan of that effect in my life. And I really appreciate that you're sharing and this with us. And also, I'm sure that for some people will be a reminder of keep doing what they do in terms of creating this effect in everyday's life. And now I would love to move towards the last section of our episode, which is asking you 3 questions that we ask everyone, to also get your perspective. And the first one is, what does mean what extraordinary means to you?
That's a difficult one. Yeah, that was for me. That's a difficult one. I had to think really long about it, and then it hit me when I read a post of on Instagram, and then I was like, extraordinary is not remarkable achievements to me. It is what people, especially in the world of today, it is what people do in acts of compassion, in proactively trying to find harmony and balance between different cultures, being inspiring to others while you have a million things going on. People, especially people who decide to go out and help in trauma zones, geographical trauma zones, assist refugees, who go that extra mile to ensure we do not lose humanity, we do not lose compassion. That to me is extraordinary because it's hard.
Yeah. Wow. I love it. And I definitely feel you are extraordinary, Naomi. And thanks, thanks for sharing this description. I just love it. Well, I would love to ask you as well, like, if you were a billboard, where would you be and what would you say?
If I were a billboard, I think I'd rather be a label, because then I could be everywhere. But yeah, if I would be a billboard, I would say empowered women empower women. Empowered women empower women. That will be it. And then you could put empowered Black women, empowered Asian, and whatever, but empowered women empower women.
Wow. Okay, great. And last question. What is the book that you most often give as a present?
Yeah, I rarely give books as a present. I love to read. I give book cards so people can pick their own books. But if I would, and it had to be about this topic, like DEI, I would definitely give Rebel Ideas by Matthew Syed, which explains very well, very funny as well, why diverse teams in the workplace work.
Okay.
And hilarious. So he explains it in a very, very funny way. So I would definitely do that one. And I'm a big fan of novels, so I would definitely give Kindred of Octavia E. Butler. It's a novel from 1979. So
Okay.
I was a couple of years old when that came out, but it's still very accurate and it's beautiful. It was one of the few books that I actually cried.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Then I definitely need to have a look at it. I don't know it. So thanks a lot for sharing those recommendations and for everything that you shared with us today. It's been a great pleasure having you. And yeah, like keep up this great work that you're doing and being such an extraordinary person. Thank you, Naomi.
Thank you so much, Montse. It has been an amazing pleasure being here with you. Thank you for
Thank
having me.
you. Thank you.